The post-Mao era has maintained distinctly ingrained attitudes concerning a fear of instability, while simultaneously focusing upon economic reform as a way to variously raise living standards, as well as slowly reasserting China as a great power, as well as ensuring the CCP's survival via newly ascribed legitimacy. Although there has been significant decentralization over the last 35 years, the ongoing essence of the reform period has been that of continued CCP control. This position primarily stems from a desire to avoid any volatility that could threaten the regime and which directly references the memory of past domestic upheaval. Thus, the Chinese state has maintained a highly prescriptive attitude towards any group that deviates from the CCP's political, national, or ideological monopoly, as typified by potential separatists in Tibet or Xinjiang, as well as any alternative political, social, or religious groupings. There are two concepts that dominate Chinese perspectives on internal security and public order, Naoshi and Dongluan. These two terms are often used by Chinese authorities to enact force against its own citizens when they consider the CCP's legitimacy threatened. The first, Naoshi, conveys the meaning of riot or creating trouble or disturbance, and is most often related to mass incidents of protest. It is intimately tied to Chinese perspectives on power and covers a broad range of meanings tied to the management and control of social issues, which are considered a direct threat to the state's authority. Yet the real significance of Naoshi is that it can be used to delegitimize troublemakers who are seen as worthy of government sanction, but not of military force, such as petitioners, civil societies, and groups like the Falun Gong. Unrestrained Naoshi is viewed as an increasing problem for the state. With rapid economic development, China is seeing an exacerbation of social problems and discontent, such as the Wukan protests of 2011. Naoshi has come to refer to the unleashing of tensions among people that have tolerated their circumstances without seeing any improvement over a long period of time. Increasingly, people feel they have to resort to their own methods through creating such disturbances to achieve resolutions to issues. The prevalence of such beliefs and the increased frequency of disturbances reveal the lack of an efficient legal system and the absence of any well-functioning administrations in China. The people are increasingly aware of their rights vis-à-vis the bureaucracy, but their inadequate knowledge of the legal means of defending them has increased the government response to Naoshi. There has been a rapid increase in the number of mass protests or mass group incidents. In the 1980s, few incidents of public demonstrations, disruptive action, or riots occurred, yet by 1993, 8,700 mass incidents recorded, and by 2005 there was 87,500, and by 2010 estimates range between 180,000 and 230,000. The second term, Dongluan, refers to various kinds of violent incidences, riots, or clashes. However, unlike Naoshi, the use of Dongluan by the Chinese government, the CCP, and the Chinese media is reserved for instances when the authorities consider the CCP's leadership and ideology is being fundamentally denied. It refers to extreme disorder, extreme turmoil, and when used by the government, it carries the imperative that citizens must immediately rally to government initiatives to restore order. So far, only two historical events have been clearly identified by the CCP as Dongluan: the Cultural Revolution and the Tiananmen Square protest on June 4, 1989. In 1981, after the Cultural Revolution, the CCP re-evaluated the Cultural Revolution, stating that it did not conform to Marxism and Leninism and was not suitable for realities in China. The Cultural Revolution was formulated into a Dongluan that brought serious disasters to the party, the country, and all peoples. The CCP also praised the PLA's contribution in resolving the turmoil and defending the security of the motherland. In the case of the students' pro-democracy movement around Tiananmen Square, the CCP criticized the movement as a planned conspiracy and Dongluan. The Chinese authorities believe that because the students' pro-democratic movement threatened the CCP governance, and consequently it threatened the order and stability of the state. Recently, this term has been used with regards to accusing the Tibetan spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama, and the Uyghur leader, Rabia Kadia, for instigating Dongluan and attempting to split Tibet and Xinjiang from China. Another common concept is what's known as the three evils or the three forces of extremism, separatism, and terrorism. These three forces are usually bundled under the one security issue of extremism, as it most relates to the government's perception of what it considers to be religious extremism, that is the Buddhists in Tibet and the Muslims in Xinjiang. Chinese authorities describe these movements as religious extremism masked as national independence to create popular public opinion, to confuse and poison people's minds, while on the other hand carrying out violent terror activities to sabotage social stability. Specific ethnic or minority groups' separatist desires and religious extremism are considered direct threats to the territorial integrity of China and the legitimate authority of the CCP leadership. Consequently, much of China's fears about internal insecurity relate to their fear of the delegitimization of the CCP authority as sovereigns over the Chinese nation. In the Chinese constitution, it stipulates that the People's Republic of China, which is led by the working class and established based on an alliance of workers and peasantry, is a socialist state that is a people's democratic dictatorship. It goes on to state that the Chinese Communist Party, now and in the future, will remain as the sole leaders in ruling China, and that with the continuous leadership of the CCP, all the ethnic people of China insist on the upholding of a people's democratic dictatorship and building our state as a prosperous, democratic and civilized socialist state. Thus, the connection between the Communist Party and the state is especially close. In fact, the Chinese government encourages the Chinese people to conflate the idea of the CCP and China, so that loving China is the equivalent of loving the CCP. Many of you have also heard of the concept of Tiansha, which means mandate of heaven. This concept is behind much of the Chinese perception and understanding of the state and sovereignty. It determines what is within the border and what are the peripheries, and who is civilized and who are the barbarians. It carries the notion that China has a right to govern and make civilized all the peoples within its mandate or borders.